Hello, everyone out there in the audience. We are going live from the Back Tees Twitter account. I'm Mike Candelora. My co-host is at Joe Butter. We are talking from the center cut about the Farmers Insurance, the best DFS plays, the best betting plays, just basically our breakdown of two guys that love talking about golf and love kind of just studying everything to science. How you doing today, Joe?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I am fantastic. I mean, I'm excited to see Torrey Pines. I'm excited that this tournament's here. The first actual, other than TOC, this is our first, true tournament where there's a nice field. It's a tough environment. And this tournament produces a lot of, classy type of guys that win. I mean, albeit Scott Stallings won in, 2014. But other than that, a lot of guys who are high-profile players tend to play well and win here. So I'm looking forward to that. So anything that comes to mind right away for you?
No, you pretty much hit the nail right on the head. I mean, this is the tournament where the big boys come to play, and the big boys win. And we got a lot of big boys in it. We're missing JT. We're obviously missing Tiger, but we got Rahm, we got Rory, we got Schauffele, we got Finau, Reed. The big boys are here, so I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
No, 100%. And not only that, but this course is it's gettable. The one round they play at the North Course. So let's just talk about the course for a little bit. It's a beast. I mean, it's a par 72. It's the longest course, one of the longest courses in terms of every single year rotation. It plays about 7,500 yards. So, I mean, driving distance is big here. The rough here is very grisly. I mean, the greens here are the smallest greens on tour with Poa and Anu type of green type. They're fast. It is tough around here. You can't go if you don't have your A game coming into this tournament, you are going to struggle. You're going to face a lot of problems because you won't necessarily make those huge numbers like triples and doubles and everything like that, but you can easily bogey yourself to death here, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of odd when you hit on the fact that the rough is pretty gnarly here and it's long. But it doesn't seem to be a course that you really have to hit the fairways on, which seems a little strange. It pretty much favors the bombers. Just hit it as far as you can and gouge it from there. This is a perfect Bryson course. Unfortunately, he's not here. This is perfect for him. But this is the first real course that we're seeing this year. Those courses in Hawaii, the scores get down to 26, 27, 28 under. We're not going to see that here. So it's going to be a lot more fun.
No, 100%. And the thing with the Farmers Insurance is you're right. Like Leishman last year missed almost every single fairway in the last round and was below the pack in terms of driving accuracy. The fact was Mark Leishman missed either way right or way left to the point where he was hitting triple down grass and everything.
Right.
I mean,
he's making everything.
No, exactly. I mean, he was making 10 to 12 footers on Sunday. I mean, he was making everything he looked at. I mean, I had a Finau ticket. So it was pretty upsetting to see Leishman emerge from that group because they played together on the final day. I'm like, oh, Finau's gonna make a charge. He buried the hole, and then he fucking Tony Finau'd it. So before we get into Farmers Insurance, I want to talk about that just momentarily. So what do you make of Tony Finau's documented struggles on just winning golf tournaments? Do you think it's a lack of clutchness? Do you think it's a bit of bad luck, a mix of both? What do you think?
I think it's a little mix of everything. It's a little bit of bad luck. It's a little bit of it's just a mental block that now it's become a routine thing over the course of 4, 5, 6 years that it's in his head. It's in everybody's head. He gets asked about it everywhere he goes. And on top of that, his press conference after the round on Sunday, or not press conference, just his interview. I don't know. His attitude towards it is kind of weird. He was taken out. He was like, I'm really encouraged by this. I'm playing better than I have been. I understand that. You're trying to take some positives out of it, but at the same time, you really haven't won yet. You won one tournament that wasn't really a full-fledged event.
Yeah.
You need to be a little bit more angry about this.
No, exactly. And It's funny enough you say that. So one of the like godfathers of golf writing, and Eric Patterson at the Score, he said exactly identically the same thing, that it's concerning that Finau really isn't like as aggressive. He's not that type of guy, but eventually you got to hit boiling points. Like, no, I'm sick of these second to fifth place finishes. I'm tired of being moniker top 5, top 10 Tony. And I want to go out and win a tournament. I mean, the only tournament he's ever won was the Puerto Rico Open, which is an alternate field event, and he beat Steve Marino in the playoff. So, I mean, the only closest thing I know about Steve Marino is that he used to sell cars, and his last name's Marino, which reminds you of Dan Marino. Be not the best guy to be grouped with in the playoff, but put it perspectively. So,
and he went to high school in Northern Virginia. My brother actually played with him in high school.
Interesting. Oh,
yeah. So we know a little bit about Steve Marino, but not on a PGA level. He was a high school, god around here. But
yeah, maybe we'll get him on the show. We'll see what he's up to, and we'll see what his take on everything is. And given Tony Finau his only win on tour,
yeah.
All right, so this week is going to be an interesting week of DraftKings. So, are you going the stars or scrubs approach, or are you going the balanced approach personally?
Personally, I'm going. I have a couple balanced lineups, but for the most part, I'm going stars and scrubs, mainly because we'll get into it in a little bit. But I hate the 8K range.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty much going up top, getting a couple of the big guys, like maybe one of the 10+ guys, one of the guys in the low 9s. We'll talk about some names in a little bit, and then I'm gonna pump the 7K range. There's a couple 6K guys I like, but stars and scrubs is the way I'm going.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where I'm going to go as well, and we'll get into the names momentarily, but I agree with everything you just said there. I mean, I think you can make the case for some balanced builds, because I think the balanced builds will give you the leg up in the big GPP contest and just the big contest in general, because a lot of people will get to names that aren't looking to do that. They're looking to build the stars and scrubs lineup. So trying to be unique when doing the stars and scrubs is going to be vital, is uber important if you want to have a successful DraftKings week. So let's get into these guys. So the top of the field, Jon Rahm, Mr. California Golf, $11,300. Then you got Rory McIlroy, fresh off a second place finish overseas. He gagged it away on Sunday to Terrell Hatton at 11,000. You got Tony Finau, who was top 5 again at last week at 10.7. You got Xander Schauffele at 10.4, who we haven't seen in a little bit since Hawaii. He's been kind of going through some COVID, so we'll see how he holds up. And we got Patrick Reed to round it out at the list at 10.1. So, Joe, out of all these guys, I'm going to ask, who's your favorite player of all these guys?
My favorite is Rory, and I think I'm going to be a bit contrarian there, because I think a lot of people are going to look at last week and what he did on Sunday. He played awful. Not awful, but for Rory McIlroy standards, he played terribly on a Sunday. He was in the lead, going down. He had 18 holes left. He played with Hatton, who ended up winning. So they were going head to head, and he got beat pretty bad. So I'm hoping a lot of people are going to have a sour taste in their mouth after watching that. But if you watched him on Thursday and Saturday, I mean, he looked like Rory of old. Like, that game is there. It's just he's got to put it together for 4 rounds, which he hasn't done in really since COVID. But this is a course where he's played well. He's got the game for it. He's got the power. He's got the the ball striking. He's obviously one of the best ball strikers in the world. And he just has to put 4 rounds together, which we know he can do. I mean, he's won 16 times. I think he's got 4 majors, but he's top 5 the last 2 years here. I don't know. I'm feeling. I like Rahm, but I think Rory is going to be a lot less owned. And if they finish in the same spot, I'll take that $300.
No, 100%. And Rory, from my calculations, from what I've seen in projected ownerships, might go under 20% ownership. And if you give me Rory McIlroy under 20% ownership at any tournament, just sign me the hell up right away. I like Rory McIlroy a lot too, and that's who I was going to go with. And this, he might end up being quite popular. But the fact of the matter is, I like Rory for the fact that since the BMW Championship, where he led after 2 rounds and then had an awful Sunday and kind of just lost his footing, finished like in the top 15. From that BMW Championship, I mean, he finished in the top 10 at the U.S. Open. He finished top 10 at the Tour Championship. He finished top 5 at the Masters. I think Rory is coming. And it's just so many tournaments since like the COVID outbreak that he just hasn't won or hasn't felt like on the PGA Tour he's here. And people got to remember that was his first start of the year last week. And he looked fantastic. He looked like there was no rust. He looked like he had a clear mind. He even talked about it. Like last year, the baby really weighed on his mind and like starting a family with his wife. And now he has that off his back. He's kind of gotten some, now delayed baby swag. And I like where Rory McIlroy's trending. I think this course suits him perfectly. He struck the shit out of the ball, apparently, from what I saw at that tournament last week. And if his driver's going, if his irons are there, I mean, there's no reason why Rory McIlroy can't go out and blitz this field. And the argument I have against Jon Rahm, who would probably win the tournament now because I'm saying that, is the fact of the matter is Rahm is coming off an injury. If I'm paying 10-3 for almost anybody,
11
they have to have no question marks. And I know like you might just tweet this back and I was like, fuck the Amex, I'm not going there. But 10-3 is just too much for me. I like going $300 less and building some of the guys later down the list we'll go through. But I like Roy from that thing. I'm also very interested in Patrick Reed because I think Patrick Reed, not that he's the best fit here, but if he's on, he can contend goddamn anywhere, and no one's going to use him this week.
Yeah, I love Reed this week. It's kind of weird too because the first 2 events of the year, I wrote in my article from the stadium that he was one of my fades both weeks, and it kind of paid off. The Tourney of Champions, he was mediocre, T15, which in a 25 or what's a 40 player event, not great. And then last week he missed the cut. So lucky for me, I hit both of those because I don't like fading him because he's one of those like you said, he can play anywhere. His game is just so steady that he's not the longest out there. He's not the best really at anything, but he's just so good at everything. I like him, and oddly enough, I'm gonna jump back on Finau too.
Okay.
He's not gonna win. I know he's not gonna win. He'll probably come, T4, but at the same time, he's probably the most consistent of these guys right now. I think Rory's the best. I think he has the best chance to win. But I mean, if you want to get a guaranteed top 10, I mean that he's not top 10 Finau for nothing.
No, I mean that's fair, but this is my argument against that. One, he's going to be extraordinarily popular, probably the highest owned player, maybe potentially in this field. And the fact of the matter is, with Finau at 10-7, he kind of does have to win to garner that price tag. I mean, yeah, he can, like you said, come top 4, and that's fine. But I mean, if I know I'm investing 10-7 in a guy that has next to nothing win equity, I mean, I might just throw up in my toilet down the hall right now. I mean, that's just like I can't swallow that. I mean, that's a tough pill to swallow, knowingly that you're going to have a guy that's going to suck up that cap, who probably won't win, and that's just a scary thought for me. And that's why I can't get behind that, especially since he's one of the more popular plays this week, like probably the most owned guy out of this like range of the higher echelon players and probably the highest owned player of this tournament. I'm going to fade him and just hope that he has one of those like chalky Finau weeks. Probably won't happen, but I'm not buying consistency at 10.7K. If he was like $8,800, absolutely. But 10.7, I can't get behind that.
Yeah. I'm hoping that he's not going to be the highest owned player. If he's the highest owned in this range or in general, then I won't. I'm the same thing with Rory. I'm hoping there's a bad taste in some people's mouths with what happened last week. If not, I will not go 10-7 to Finau if everybody else is doing it. I'm just hoping, like, he's only 300 away from Rory. He's only 300 away from Schauffele, who everybody loves to play. So if people kind of gravitate in one of those two directions, then I'll probably just hover right in the middle.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, so what do you think of Xander? Because he obviously has spotty course history there, but you see this with guys. Like guys usually that are playing at their hometown event, albeit a Colin Morikawa, usually don't tend to play that well because of just the pressure of being at home, getting tickets for people, giving these local sponsors interviews and press time, and all the responsibility of having a home event as a PGA Tour event. So, do you make anything out of that since there's no fans here this year? Like, will Xander do better than he has in the past? Because he's missed the cut here quite a bit. And like another thing that going back just to add to that point is the last time Rory Mcilroy missed a cut was at Portrush when he hosted his own event, and I just think that pressure is something to look at. And with Xander, with no fans being there and that pressure lifted, Xander could be a very sneaky play out there.
Yeah, I agree. I think the lack of fans is really going to help him. Honestly, he's my least favorite in this group, mainly because of course history. Like he's obviously playing well, and he loves these big time events. That's where he generally makes his dough. And it's not that I don't like him as a play. It's just that really there's only 5 guys in this range. And I mean, at some point you're going to have to not play somebody. And really, if I look at 4 missed cuts and 5 tries, I'm just going to kind of shy away from that until he proves that, he can play here and he can play in front of these. Well, you say in front of these people, there's no people there, but he's going to have, a little bit more responsibility than he normally does, as you mentioned. So I'm going to shy away from it.
Yeah, and like when you get in this range, obviously all these guys are great. They're not priced for no reason, so you have to nitpick. And I can get behind that. He's my least favorite play as well. I mean, my favorite play, I would probably power rank. Like I'd go Rory, I go Rahm, I go Finau, then I go Reed and Schauffele. That's how I would power rank it. And I agree with you. He's probably my least favorite play, especially since he just hasn't really looked the best. And I just don't want to take a gamble at a guy who, like, here at Farmers Insurance, course history does matter. So, and we'll get into that. So, moving on to do you have anything to add to that range at all or not?
No. Well, one nugget that I saw online today or yesterday said that 7 of the last 10 winners of the Farmers Insurance had a previous top 10 before they won. And Schauffele is the only one in this bunch that hasn't done that. So that could be interesting.
No, yeah, and it's interesting. It actually dates back, if you go back a few more, 10 of the last 12 winners haven't registered top 10 before winning the Farmers Insurance. And also another nugget is 8 out of the 10 winners, other than the last 2 winners in Rose and Leishman the last 2 years that went back to back, have started their first round at the North Course and then went to the South Course and played 3 straight rounds in the South Course.
Okay.
So
well, I'll tell you, I'm definitely targeting the North Course for my first round leader bets.
Oh yeah, that and DraftKings Showdown, North Course Central, baby. So let's go into the 9 king range. So we got Harris English to start off the pack at 9,800. We got Sungjae at 96. We got Koepka at 94. We got Hovland at 93. Hideki at 92. Wolf at 91, and Scotty Scheffler at 9,000. So, who is your favorite 9K guy out of this group?
Matthew Wolf, which is partly the reason why I'm gonna sprinkle some Tony Finau in, because I know at 10-7 you need the win equity. But if he gives me a top 5, and I think Matthew Wolf is going to win the tournament, then you give me the top 5, you give me the winner, and that's a good start to your lineup. I think Wolf is perfect this week. I really do. The only thing that I have a knock against him is when I ran my model, he's 133rd in this field in strokes gained around the greens, which is not good when there's 156 players. But everything else, he's at the top of the list. He's first in strokes gained approach, 14th in strokes gained par 4 from 450 to 500 yards. 17th in driving distance, which is a big deal here. 16th stroke gain tee to green. Pretty much everything leading up to the green. And another nugget that I saw, he's 11th in his last 8 rounds in strokes gain putting on POA. So he's not the greatest putter in the world, but he seems to like Poa, at least recently. So that's my guy. I mean, give me the distance, give me the iron game. He's one of the best ball strikers on the planet. I love him this week.
Yeah, I mean, I can get behind that, and I think Matthew Wolf's an incredibly underrated putter. So that's a great fact you brought up, and the fact that he's 11th in on Poa or 8th.
11th in the past 8 rounds played.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, 11th in Poa and strokes gained putting on Poa, which is a big deal because these Poa greens are going to give these guys a different look. I'm not personally going to go behind Hovland and Wolf because of the round green game. I just think at this course, you're inevitably going to miss greens. The greens are the smallest on tour, or like one of the smallest on tour. And if you miss a green here, especially for them, like I'm chalking it up as a bogey right away. And I know that might be a bit harsh, but Hovland and Wolf, that's a one kryptonite in their game. They can't get up and down to save their life. And maybe Wolf can get up and down and hit those 8 to 10 footers for par because he is capable of doing that. Hovland, not so much. I do favor Wolf over Hovland in this case. My favorite play in the 9K range is give me Scotty Scheffler. And I know last week he burned a lot of people, and I just love that. When you burn everyone, give me him the next week. That's just with everyone. And last year, people said that Scotty Scheffler made a equipment change. So if I actually did some digging personally, so Scotty Scheffler used the same equipment they did at the Amex, at the Tour Championship, at the Northern Trust, and one of the tournaments in Hawaii, I think TOC. And the last time, 2 years ago, Justin Rose finished a T50 at the Amex after he did an equipment change. The next week, he went out and won the damn thing. So I like Scotty Scheffler. He does everything well around here. I'm scared a little bit of his around the green game because sometimes he's not the best chipper. It's really hit or miss. Like there's some weeks where he can get everything up and down when he misses greens. But other than that, the fact is that I like Scheffler's game. I like his model. I think that he's going to be low owned compared to everyone else in the field. And not everyone else is really doing it for me. Like I do like Hideki, but with Hideki, you know that there's going to be no putting. And he's going to be one of the more popular plays this week. And I'm really kind of interested in Brooks. I want your opinion, Joe, because in my lineups, I'm debating whether to play some Brooks Koepka or not. I like him this week, but I might just bet him and not use him in DK. What do you think of Brooks Koepka in terms of DraftKings?
I have no idea. I really don't. He was my lock of the week last week, and he missed the cut on me. And he was playing so well Friday morning, where I thought he was going to make a little run, get it up, 6-7 under, and then he made some bogeys on the back nine, missed the cut. I always sprinkle in some Brooks Koepka just because, one, I'm a big fan of his. I love his cocky arrogance, asshole image. And secondly, he's so good when he just wants to be good. It's just it seems like he can't get up for the little tournaments. That's been documented, going back since he won his first couple majors. But this isn't a little this is a big tournament, and this is a big field. This is a field that he's going to want to, like, it's not a major, but he's going to want to come out and, make some noise. So I'm definitely going to play a little bit of him. I'm going to be a little bit worried about it. I'm going to be watching him closely, but I'm definitely going to play some.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just going to outright bet him at like 36-1 or 37-1. Those are numbers I've seen you could shop at other places for 40s, but I think that's where I'll just stop with him. I'll play him in some DraftKings lineup. I'll give some exposure to him. I just like that this is a big field. I like his game for it. And he's a guy where when he's on, he is on. And we've seen it. I mean, he's won 4 fucking majors, for Christ's sake. I mean, the guy can compete with anyone. You get him at a discount. Like, I like him a lot better than guys like Sung Jae. Like, Sung Jae doesn't do it for me. Hideki's going to be really chalky. I like Brooks at this course. I think this is a perfect test for him because it's one of those like harder level courses. And I think that the score will be like -13, -14 to like -16 potentially. And that's where he usually likes to linger at and win. So I like that a lot. Do you have anything else to say on the 9K range at all or no?
No, you hit it. I mean, pretty much the only three guys in this range I'm playing are Brooks, Decky, and Wolf. I'm not a fan of Im at that price. Not a fan of English at that price, which will probably come back to bite me. I mean, English comes back to bite me every single time I don't play him. He's playing so well right now. But
big history here too.
Yeah, this I don't know. This field, like, it's just when you get this many big names around him, it's just so hard for me to pull the trigger on English. But so yeah, those three guys are pretty much all I'm playing here.
Okay, so let's go to AK range. So to kick off the AK range, last week's winner, Kim at 8,900, Bubba Watson at 8,800. We got Leishman at 87, Day at 86, Cam Smith, Palmer at 85, 84 respectively, Adam Scott at 83, Horschel at 82, Zalatoris at 81. Then we got Louis Oosthuizen and Ricky Fowler at 8K. So I know you said earlier that you don't really like the 8K range, but who's the best and the worst for you? Because I know you're probably fading it from what you said earlier.
I hate this range so much. This is like this is just simply the course history range. Like, most of these guys are playing they're playing okay right now, but they just have dominated this golf course in the past. Leishman, Day, Bubba. I'm not touching any of those three. I do like Cameron Smith a lot. I think he's my favorite in this spot. He might be chalky because maybe people are thinking along the same lines I am. But he's just been so steady lately. He's playing really well. He's been playing frequently, which is nice. He's already been here in Hawaii this year, so he's made a couple starts this year already, which is nice. And he's got it all going right now. I also like Ryan Palmer. I think he's going to be a little chalky because pretty much everywhere John Rahm plays well, Ryan Palmer plays well. So if people are
butt buddies John Rahm and Ryan Palmer, baby.
Yeah, if someone goes up to 11-3 to get Rahm, 8-4 Ryan Palmer is going to fit in there nicely. So I feel like I'm kind of going to stay away from that. But I do like him this week. But other than that, I'm really not playing anybody.
Yeah, so I mean, I like some guys from this range. I'm intrigued by Bubba. I won't pull the trigger on him. I want to see how he does and maybe use him for waste management next week because Bubba's course history here is phenomenal. And I think Bubba Watson's going to have a huge year. I mean, he played exceptional golf towards the end of 2020 up until like the season flipped, because he was striking the hell out of the ball. I mean, if the dude could buy a putt, I mean, we would have talked about Bubba Watson as coming into this year as one of the better players on tour. And I mean, he just couldn't buy a putt. And I mean, that's the story of Bubba, but I'm interested to see how he does in his debut tournament this year. But I would love to see, I would want him to miss the cut this week because I want to use him at waste management next week. But other than that, I like Adam Scott out of all these guys. And I like Adam Scott because he hurts me every single time I get him. He can't putt to save his life. And I don't know what's my affinity for like guys that like love to miss 3-foot putts, but I guess I just love pain and agony. But the fact
for you.
What's up?
That's sports betting for you.
Yeah, like I just love going on Shot Tracer on Friday on the PGA Tour app. Check Adam Scott, second shot, 109 yards to the green, 5 feet for a birdie. All I see later, like a couple minutes later, Adam Scott 3-putted from 5 feet, and now it's a bogey. I'm like, go boy, Adam. But
and shout out to the worst app of all time, too, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, that app pisses me off every week.
That could be a separate podcast, but give your head a shake, PGA Tour. Come on, man. Let us consume your product. But anyway,
those are my exact words last week. I tweeted out. I said, "You hate giving us the opportunity to consume."
They just hate money. Simple as that. Yeah. They're fine with their sponsorship deals, and they're like, the American people, getting TV ratings, irrelevant. But anyway, I like Adam Scott this week because this is an event where he's played really well in the past. This is an event that Adam Scott deems worthy. I know that sounds crazy, but he was on record saying that there's only 10 to 12 tournaments a year that actually matter. So I know this guy thinks he's like Mr. Cool Guy, that he can come in at any time and play a tournament, but this is a tournament where he's played well in the past. It suits well to his game. The only worry I have about Adam Scott is that he's been horrendous chipping the ball recently, and that's a huge red flag for me. But I just gotta hope that he has one of those weeks where the irons are really good, and then there's. I hope I hit one of those 10 tournaments he gets a year where he gains like 4 to 5 strokes putting, and hopefully that he can just catch a heater. I mean, he's done solid work on Poa. So I can't complain. I mean, of all the green types, Bentgrass and Poa are his 2 top, and that's where you'll get the mix in at the North course and the South course. You'll get Poa at the South and Bentgrass for the North. So I like that, and he's starting at the North course. So give me Adam Scott this weekend, that range. Other than that, like I'm fine with Day, and I'm fine with Leishman. I'm fine with Palmer too. I'm not running to the table to use those guys, but I think they're fine plays overall. But this is a range where I'm probably going to fade because I want to get up to the 9s, get up to some upper 7s, use one of the big boys, and then use 2 of the 6 to low 7K guys and fill out my roster. So this is a pass for me. I will be using Adam Scott, though, in some of my lineups because I like Adam. But anything else to add out here? Actually, wait, one nugget I need to ask you. So a viewer from the back tees asked earlier, when do you think Ricky Fowler will win again? Do you think he'll win this year, Joe? Why or why not?
I don't know. He's actually looked a little bit better lately. So it's possible. I find it hard to believe he's going to win this year. I do think he's going to win again, but I don't think it'll be this year. I think it's going to take him a year or two to really hone in on what he's doing well right now and then fill the rest of his game out. I mean, we saw last week, he had some really good spurts of, Ricky Fowler of old. And then he also had, the spurts of today Ricky Fowler making the stupid doubles. That's just kind of his game. He's the king of making 1-8 per tournament. I don't know. He's gonna win again. I don't think it'll be this year. There's just too many guys playing so well.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the super season, I think he could probably find an event like Colonial or event where like there's a Ricky Happy place. Like I don't think it'll be like Waste Management, like some people are like whispering about. But I could see him winning an event like Colonial. I could see him winning an event, I don't know, like St. Jude. I could see him winning a couple of those events where it's a happy place for him. He gets super hot with the putter, but he just needs a lot of things to go right. And in a year where there's so much good talent, the year where there's so many guys like doing so well and so many things so well, that it's so tough to bank on that. I mean, his irons look like they're kind of coming back into form, which is nice. So if he can keep some momentum going on to like after last week and build on what he did to Amex, which granted it was like a T30 or like in the top like 35, it's just so tough to get behind him because he's made so many changes, and I feel like he's undergoing like you said, like I think within the next year and a half, 2 years he'll win. But I don't know if it'll be this year, but it definitely could be next year, in my opinion. So
there's just too many players that have leaped him. Like there's too many young players that have come up and are really winning. I mean, Morikawa's won 3 times already. Like Wolf has won, Hovland's won, Siwoo has now won 3 times. Like it's just there's too, and then you got all the big guys. There's just too many players that he's gonna have to beat right now while he's still figuring shit out.
Yeah, and see, let me tell you something. Like Siwoo Kim's kind of underrated. Like I don't know if that's just me being my perception of everything, but I mean, I didn't really realize the guy was like 25 years old. It's kind of incredible that he's only 25. And I mean, his irons are incredible. It's just the fact that it just is an inconsistency. And I honestly kind of hope he misses a cut or two. That way we get back to the 80 to 100 like numbers for Siwoo, because I think he's going to be incredibly live during the Florida swing. So.
Yeah, Sungjae kind of stole some of the spotlight away from him over the past year and a half.
Yeah, and even Sungjae's not given really the credit he deserves either. I mean, Sungjae's as young as Neiman, and these other guys. It's just the fact that Morikawa, Hovland, Wolf, they played all this collegiate golf. They were in these like televised collegiate tournaments, and meanwhile, Neiman, Sungjae, and Siwoo, they just came from overseas. They grinded their way on tour, and they're not the same show ponies, but hey, they get the goddamn job done. they're not going to be these same dogs that are like prancing about at the Puppy Bowl. But hey, they'll win those like regional events with the who's the best dog, like the best show dog. So I like where his game's trending, and this just range this week for me though. Just in general, is just not doing it for me. So I like Adam Scott as my favorite play, and you like Cam Smith as your favorite.
Smith is my favorite, yeah.
Okay. So let's go to the sevens. So we'll start with the upper sevens from like 79 to 7,500. So at 7,900, you got Cam Davis, who's going to be the biggest chalk play of the week from under 8K. You got Cam Champ at 79. You got Molinari and Woodland at 78. You got Corey Connors making his debut and Kokrak at 77, along with Sam Burns at 77. You got Gooch, Spieth, Grillo at 76. Then you round it out with the upper sevens with Charles Howell III, Charlie Three Sticks, Carlos Ortiz, Hoffman, Bayongan at 7,500. So of the upper sevens, who's your favorite play, Joe?
I think I'm going to go with Corey Connors. I like him this week. I know he's probably the worst putter on tour, but
I wouldn't say
he's close. He might not be the worst, but he's close. But he can get streaky. But his ball striking is absolutely incredible. And I just that price, I mean, it's probably where he should be, maybe even a little higher than where he should be. But with this field where I've said I want to get up to, Rory at 11, I want Wolf at 9, I'm going to come down here to the sevens, and I'm going to pummel this area. This in the low sevens and the upper sixes. I like Connors. I mean, he's top 10 in strokes gained off the tee to green, strokes gained approached. I mean, just like I said, ball striking. He's a ball striking king. It's just if he can have an average putting week, that's all I want. Just average. He'll be right there. And I don't need him to win. I just need you to, top 20 it. And if he can do that, then I'll be golden. I do like Sam Burns. He came in at 7th overall in my model. And I've seen a little bit around the fantasy golf world that he's pretty high in other people's models as well, which kind of sucks. I kind of wanted him to be my little diamond in the rough, but that didn't work out. And you mentioned Cameron Davis. I was all over Cameron Davis last week. He was one of my pivots. He was one of my locks. I played him in a one and done pool. I played him in, my family golf pool. I was all over it. I'm not going to play him this week, probably for that reason. I mean, he's one of those guys where he's not going to top 10 it consistently. He's just too erratic. He might do it again. I'm not saying he can't. I'm going to take my money from last week, build on it, and I'm going to let other people play him this week.
No, yeah, and I like Cam Davis too. I like him long term, but after last week, everyone's going to go back to him. It's a par 72. His skill set fits extremely well at this course. It's just one of those chalk plays where you're like, I just can't swallow that because he's going to garner like teens percentages that below 8K. I can't swallow that at all. And it's funny enough, I'll tell you a funny story. So I had a lineup last week with Siwoo Kim, Cam Davis, and Tony Finau, and I didn't win any money.
Wow. What, did you have 3 miscuts?
Yes, literally 3 miscuts. It was so bad. I had Cam Champ. I had Cam Champ in there, and then I had 2 other jabronis.
And he didn't just miss the cut; he missed it comfortably. I mean, he probably didn't really score much at all.
No, it was pretty tilting because I looked at that lineup. I was like, man, like if I just grew a brain and was able to hit some of the other guys, like it's yeah. So that wasn't. Oh, I had Henley in that lineup too, which was
I had him so much. I loved him. I thought he was going to win last week, and he did nothing for me.
Yeah. So my favorite plays from the upper sevens are 2 guys at both 7,800. I like Sam Burns, by the way, too. But my 2 favorite plays are Francesco Molinari, and I like Gary Woodland. I like Gary Woodland. He looked great last week. He looked healthy, which is huge. He switched back to the driver, and he gained 3 strokes off the tee, which is a big deal because last year he was using a ping driver, I think, and it just ruined his off the tee game last year, and he was struggling mightily with that. So I'm glad he moved back to a more comfortable driver. He looked great, struck the shit out of the ball. He just couldn't buy a putt, and that's what Gary Woodland does. But let me tell you, this is the type of course, a U.S. Open type of style. Give you them hosel lies with this like thick rough around the green to get up and down. Gary Woodland's great at that. He's just not good getting up and down when he has a nice tight lie in the fairway trying to pitch up 20 yards to the pin. Thanks, Gary. But I like him this week. His game fits extremely well here. I like Molinari as well. He's going to come in at extremely low ownership. He's been gaining strokes in all four facets of the game since he made his return to Houston. He top 10 Houston. He top 10 last week as well. I like Molinari. I think this is a course where, again, guys that play well here aren't scrubs. And Molinari at the end of the day, we make the jokes that he's been MIA, and before that he died in Rays Creek. We make those jokes, but at the end of the day, he's a tremendous player. I think he's better than what he's been advertised, and I think that this is going to be a nice little redemption year for Molinari. I don't know if he'll win, but I think it's going to be extraordinarily competitive in multiple tournaments. And this is one of the tournaments I could see him being competitive in. I mean, he's really good with his long irons. He's able to get up and down well. It comes down to his putter and see if he can buy some 8 to 10 footers for birdies and pars that he's accustomed to missing at times. But I like the metrics on him personally. I like the low ownership. I like where his game's trending. Give me Francesco Molinari this week and Gary Woodland at both 7,800.
Okay. I'm gonna tangent you a little bit. You asked the question of when Ricky Fowler's going to win again. When is Jordan Spieth going to win again? And is he going to win again? And if so, when?
He'll win again. I'm going to make a bold take on this podcast right now, and this will be saved because it goes right to Twitter after. Jordan Spieth will win this year.
I hope you're right. I'm one of the biggest Jordan Spieth fans there is. God. I love him, and it's been such a heartbreak this last 3 years, man. Like he's way too nice of a guy to like want to see him fall this drastically. Like this is like I don't want to say it's a Tiger Woods like fall because obviously there's no one that's a Tiger Woods like fall, but he went from, being the best player in the world. He couldn't miss a putt inside 25 feet. He won, 3 majors and should have been 4, in a 2-year window. And then all of a sudden now he's like, he's almost to the point where he has to Monday qualify for some of these events.
No, I mean it's bad. I mean, I think he's at 89th in the world right now. Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, if you went back in time and told me 4 years ago, Jordan Spieth will be 89th in the world by 2021, I would have told you you're goddamn crazy. But look where we're at now, and it's just the fact like this week is just an awful fit for him, especially making his debut here. But I think he can win at one of his comfort places. Like I think he could be extremely live in Pebble. I think he could be extremely live at Colonial. He could be extremely live at Heritage too. Like just those type of courses where it's like a par 70, even like a short par 72. He's able to dial, just able to take something less than driver off the tee and just hit fairways and greens and be able, because he's a capable putter. I mean, he's one of the best putters on tour still. And any week, if you just get a hot putter, I mean, we've seen guys like Kevin Na, Kisner, guys like that, or fucking like Cam Tringali and Stuart Sink, even for Christ's sake, compete and win events with like gaining 8 to 10 strokes putting. Like Jordan Spieth, it's not unheard of for him to do that. I think he can win this year. I'm on the bandwagon that he does win this year. I think he's going to win at one of his comfort courses. It won't be a major event. It won't be like a WGC or major, for God's sake, but it will be an event where it's one of those like, lesser events like Pebble Pro-Am, like a Travelers, one of those events where he can kind of just muck it up, and I think he can win for sure. So
I hope you're right. I want to see him win again.
Anything else to add out of this upper echelon? Like, do you see anyone else that you like at all or have any interest for or no?
Not really. I mean, I do like Molinari. I'm just worried after last week if some people are going to be a little bit more on him. Hopefully they're not, but it is nice to see him playing more often and playing well again. That COVID restart where he just said, I'm not coming back to the United States, kind of sucked. I mean, he's so dull, but at the same time, he's fun to watch because he's so good. So I hope he does well. I'm not going to play him, but I'm going to be off Champ. I'm going to be off Grillo. And obviously Speed. I can't play him here. I'd be shocked if he made the cut.
No, same. It's just not his. It's just not a good course fit for him at all. Also, another nugget with Molinari is the fact that he moved his family out to California, so he's going to be kind of hopefully like accustomed to the lay of the land. And I like where he's trending. I'm going to use a lot of Molinari and Woodland from this range. So under $7,500, so 7,400 to $7,000, you got Homo, Fratelli, Lanto, Alex Noren, all at 74. You got Joel Damon, Mac Hughes, EVR, Maverick McNeely, and Ryan. Oh, and just Maverick McNeely at 73. Then you got Ryan Moore, Adam Hadwin, Phil Mickelson, the Gim Reaper, James Hahn at 72. Then you got Glover, Sabatini, and Sepp Straka, along with Doc Redman at 7,100. Then you got Russell Knox, Brant Snedeker, Cameron Tringali, Matt Jones, John Huh, Harold Varner, all at 7K. So who's your favorite low 7K play?
I don't love a lot here. I am playing. I think my favorite in this group is going to be Joel Damon. I'm going to play a lot of him. He's a good ball striker. Not great putter. He's pretty average putting, maybe a little bit above average. But when I do my model, generally speaking, most of my stats come from the last 36 rounds because I want a pretty good sample size. But then I also run a little mini model of the last 8 rounds just to see who's trending, hot in the past couple of weeks. And he's top 10 in both strokes gained around the green and strokes gained putting on POA in his last 8 rounds. So you mix that with, he's top 40 in this field in strokes gained tee to green and approach. If he gets that hot putter and short game going, then I don't think he's going to contend, but I think he's going to, make a little bit of noise, make the weekend and, backdoor top 20 perhaps, which would be plenty from this range.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, my 2 favorite plays from this range are Sepp Straka and Matt Jones. I like Sepp Straka because just the prototype. He hits the ball a mile. He can eat up the par 5s. And this is his type of course. He's also dynamite with his long irons too. He was, I think, top 10 in the field from like proximity from 175 to 200 yards. So he can really strike the shit out of the ball from long with his long irons. And that's what we have to do at this course for being such an imposing and long course. And I like Matt Jones. He's been hitting the ball really well the last couple of weeks. He finished, I think, T14 or T11 last week at the Amex, and he gained like 5 strokes on approach in 3 measured rounds. And he's had some good course history here. I mean, he's finished inside the top 15 here twice. I think this is where you're going to – I like where Matt Jones is at, and he can play pretty solid at this course. So I like where he's at, and I like where Sepp Straka is at too. I'm fine with Damon. I gave Damon a long look. I like him. I just don't want to get behind because I haven't seen him in a little bit. And I think that's fair, but I think Damon is a solid play here as well. And I was intrigued by Fratelli, but he's just been kind of off lately, and he just scares me because Dylan Fratelli not really the best like around the greens in general, and also fairway accuracy, which rough again, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, he can hit the ball far, so maybe that offsets itself. But around the greens, he hasn't been the best, so I'm going to stay away from him. And that's really it. I mean, Redmond's okay, but a lot of these other guys down here, and granted they're in the low 7s, they just don't move the needle for me. Like, do you kind of feel that from your side too?
Yeah, and it's not that I usually have a couple guys that I zero in on from this range. It's just not this week. It seems like this range, like I have a couple plays in the upper 7s, I have a couple plays in the upper 6s, and this range is just kind of in that weird black hole where I'm just not really going to touch. I do have an inkling of interest in Tringali, just because I'm kind of a sucker for Tringali. I play him pretty often, and I really don't know why. He's just one of those guys that I always cling to because he has those random weeks where he just plays really well in top 20s. But then he has those really bad weeks. Like last week, I was really debating between him and Tom Hoagie, who were in that 6K range or low 7K range. and I had a little bit of both. If I would have had Tringali over Hoagie in a couple lineups, I would have cashed out pretty well because Hoagie missed the cut. But I have a little bit of interest in him. Other than that, I'm not really going to touch much here.
No, and like I just want to get to a point. Like honestly, looking at this range top to bottom, like is at this stage of the game is like Max Homa really that different from like a guy like I don't know, like a Henrik Norlander or like a Ryan Rowinski or like a Patrick Rogers? Like no, like they're kind of the same type of player, huh?
Yeah, no, they're all. I mean, you could just kind of throw a dart and wherever it lands, just play that guy.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, what you're looking at in this low 7K tier and in the sixes is just the prototype. You want to look for a guy's game where it's like, oh yeah, like this course fits, like this course can fit his game. He does things that the upper echelon tiers like do really well. It's just that he doesn't have a complete game, and you're just hoping that he has an outlier week and finishes what's inside the top 30, top 20 of the tournament. And the fact is, like, I just don't see that big of a discrepancy from a Homa, from a Lanto, who's been pretty bad lately, to a guy like Patrick Rogers, to a guy like Luke List, who's been like doing well metrics wise, like to a Norlander who finished inside the top 15 last week. So let's go to the sixes. So I'm not gonna read off everyone's name because all those jabronis kind of don't deserve all that credit, to be honest. Sorry to the guys in the lower six. Shout out to Harry Higgs, though. He's my main man. But of all the sixes, who's your favorite guy from the sixes that you've like kind of circled? And you can give a few names too.
I think my absolute favorite is probably Martin Laird. I'm playing him a lot.
Marty Party, I love it.
Yeah, I'm playing a lot of him. He's so consistent. This isn't a great course fit for him, just because of the length, to be honest. But he hits all the boxes. He's top 50. I mean, it's a 156 player field. He's top 50 in strokes gained approach, tee to green, around the green, putting, 450 to 500 yard par fives or par fours, strokes gained par four overall, strokes gained total at Torrey Pines, north and south. He's consistent. I don't think he's going to contend, but when you're looking at guys down here, you're kind of picking favorites for whatever reason you want to find. And I'm looking for more consistency. Like if you're going to hit fairways, you're going to hit greens, make 2 putts par, get out, go to the next hole. I think he can do that. I'm going to play some Luke List, who I think is going to be pretty popular. But I think it's going to be pretty good chalk because I think he's going to play well. So I'm going to sprinkle him in there with, my hopefully my Rory contrarian lineups. Luke List can be the chalky guy there. And that's kind of it. I mean, Patrick Rogers is the course history guy. I don't think I'm going to play him. I have done a couple Scott Stallings, who's also a course history guy.
Won here in 2014.
He won here. He's also top 10, I think, in 2015 or 2016. It's been a while, but he's obviously had success here, so maybe he can ride some of that. What do you like here?
There's only like 2 guys I particularly like. I like Henrik Norlander. I'm a big Henrik guy. I played him some last week. He did be pretty solid. I like him because he gained 4.4 strokes on approach last week. And I mean, I just think that he can do really well here. I mean, he's pretty solid around the greens. It's just all about his driving, because his driver does get him in trouble at times, and that's kind of scary around here because you need to hit fairways, because if you're not, you make that job much more difficult. But I think he can do pretty solid here. And I think he has those tournaments where he pops up. And once he gets some form, Norlander, I mean, he's shown that he can stick around. And by sticking around, I mean, he'll like T30 or T20 some tournaments in like over a span of a few weeks, but then he'll kind of go off the grid. So I'm hoping that he could build on the momentum he had last week. And my other guy is Wyndham Clark. He hits the ball a goddamn mile. He can't really hit an iron to save his life, but he's pretty solid around the greens. And again, another prototype well. And at 6,300, a guy that is garnering a few interest from what I've heard from other podcasts I've heard. Shout out to Pat Mayo and Reed Fowler for kind of bringing this up, but Will Gordon at 6,300 too is really interesting because he hits the ball a mile and he can be a guy that's a serious player. I mean, he finished really high at the Travelers last year. He's a serious guy. And Andy Ogletree too, who hits the ball a mile and who was the low amateur at the Masters too. I mean, he's a guy that can be a serious player. I mean, he was one of the more highly talented college guys coming out of college. And we can look in like 10 to 12, like a few tournaments down the road, and you see Andy Ogletree like $8,400 for like Pebble Beach Pro Am or for a lesser tournament. And you're like, oh, well, this guy was like 6,600 for another event. And it's like, oh, well, why didn't I play him then? So I want to give a stab at him. He hasn't played a lot of golf recently, but I mean, he made the cut both the Masters and Mayakoba. I just want to give a stab at him. He has a profile here along with Wyndham Clark. But out of the 6K guys, my two favorite players are Ogletree and Norlander.
Okay. No, nobody down low in the sixes.
No, this is a tournament where I love my jabronis down low. I really do. Like the guys that are just making it on Mondays and stuff. I mean, I'm looking. I mean, oh Christ!
I have a couple bombs for you. And it's based strictly on recent Farmers Insurance results. It's not recent play. It's not any. It's just they've played well here recently. Sung Kang at 6,200 has 2 top 20s in his past 2 years here, and a T69 in 2018, which isn't great, but it's a made cut. And then the T20 in 2019, T16 last year. At 6,200, I mean, if you make the cut, that's a bargain. And then I have him in a couple lineups where I started Rory, Decky, Wolf. So I had 3 guys above 9K, and I kind of had to go down here. So I did some digging to find anything. So I don't love him, but I have him. And then another one, Kevin Tway at 6,100.
Oh,
he has done nothing lately.
God.
However, he's made 4 straight cuts at this event. And has 2 top 30s. Hey, I'm telling you, they're bombs. I mean, you're going to be praying from Thursday morning on, but like I said, all you got to do is make the cut. If you make the cut and you let me stack 3 guys above 9K, I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, another guy from that range, if we're going to really talk about this range, I like Ryan Brem too. He's a guy that hits a ball a mile, pretty good on the Corn Ferry Tour. Why not Ryan Brem? Hit some bombs, make the cut like -1. You know, have yourself a nice like couple $1,000 paycheck, more money than I'll ever make playing golf. So,
yeah.
Have yourself a weekend, Ryan Brem. That's all I got.
There you go.
But okay, so you're a guy that's in the Stars and Scrubs. So if you were like going Stars and Scrubs, I feel like a lot of people are. How would you oppose the chalk of the leaderboard? Because I know you like some of the guys like Hideki, a couple other guys. So where would you go from there?
So I basically just told you. What's going to separate me is I'm sprinkling in some Kevin Tway and some Sung Kang. My favorite lineup this week has Rory, it has Hideki, and it has Wolf. And it's really hard to get 3 guys above 9K in your lineup. So I think that's going to separate it right there, because I think a lot of people are going to have 2 of those 3, but they're not going to be willing to go as cheap as I am to get that 6 guy. Potentially, we'll see. And that's kind of what I'm banking on, and I'm hoping like the Marty Laird pivot off of Luke List at that same price, because I think Luke List is going to be really popular, but just because of the profile of his game. And Marty Laird's game profile doesn't really fit Torrey Pines, so I'm hoping that helps me out a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I can easily get behind that. And that's kind of a similar approach I am. It's just all about, for me, is just mixing and matching the guys I want this week. And by that, I mean, I'm going to go down to like the 7K and 6K range with the low guys and just mix and match the guys I want due to their just playing styles or course history, whatever nuggets of knowledge I can get. And that's what I really want to play as my top players. So let's go into the betting market as Virginia Beach finally allowed people to start betting in Virginia. So, Joe, who is your favorite? Who are your top betting plays this week?
So thank you, FanDuel, and now everybody else is in here, but FanDuel opened the gates for Virginia. So now I'm actually able to get involved in this, which is nice. And they gave us some free bets. The opening day $50 bet at plus 100 that either LeBron or Giannis would score 1 point. Thank you, FanDuel, for giving me a free $50. Anyway, I've made some bets this week already. My favorite is Matt Wolff at 32-1. I said in the beginning, I think he's going to win this golf tournament. I could very well be wrong. I was wrong last week, and I bet on Henley at 27-1. That did nothing for me. But I just love Wolff here. He's the ball striking king. And his short game is the problem. But like I said, he's been trending well on POA lately. So even if his chipping isn't great, if he can knock in those 8-foot par putts, if he can do that, at obviously not 100% clip, but if he's making 4 out of every 5, 3 out of every 5 even, I think he's going to win. So that's my favorite bet.
Okay, so I have a couple outrights that I really like that I have bet so far this week. So my favorite outright, not my favorite outright, but my starting from the top, I have bet Brooks Koepka at 36-1 to win this week. I think this is his type of field. This is the type of event that he's done really well. Like, this is just the type of course and event that Brooks Koepka is going to go out and play. I like him this week a lot. He's due for a win. And I know last week wasn't all roses as he missed a cut. But I think that he just wanted to see where he was at personally. I think he's going to make some adjustments. And this is a type of course where his playing style, where his demeanor is going to really show out. I like him a lot. Another bet that I made is Adam Scott at 50-1. I think Adam Scott, just his course history here has been tremendous. I think his ball striking has been trending pretty well. It just comes down to his putting and his short game in general. And I'm willing to gamble on the fact that 50-1 that he has one of those 10 tournaments this year where he goes out, putts the ball pretty well, and he maybe doesn't putt the ball extremely well, but if he gains 2 strokes putting, guess what? Adam Scott will be on the first page of the leaderboard come Sunday. And if I have a 50-1 ticket with a chance to win on Sunday, well, sign me up. That's all I live for. I live for the sweat. And then my last play is a little bit of a bomb, but I had early before I got bet down was Gary Woodland at 75-1. I think this is a tremendous number on him. I know he's one of the more backed players this week, and that might come back to burn me. But overall, I like his game. He plays California golf really well. He's played this course pretty well in the past. He showed a lot of good signs of health last week. And again, if he finishes similarly to what he did last week and he plays the waste mat like Phoenix next week, it's going to be like 35-40-1. So I like this value a lot. I think the books haven't caught up just yet because they're hesitant to give him the benefit of the doubt coming off that torn labrum surgery. But I think he's going to be – I think he's good. I think he looked healthy. And with the new driver in the bag, sign me up for Gary Woodland 70-1.
Okay. I also did throw in Corey Connors at 77 or 75-1.
Okay.
He's one of those same type of guys. I mean, if he can gain strokes on the green, even if he's neutral, just don't lose any strokes on the green. He'll be right there. He's that good of a ball striker. So I have that also. And then I did throw just a couple bucks. I told you I'm a sucker for Tringali, and he's 190-1. And I'm new to sports betting because it's new in Virginia, so that number just intrigued me, so I just threw a couple bucks at it.
No, I mean, hey, look, you never know. I mean,
hey, you never know. But
scrubs don't typically win here, but hey, crazier shit has happened. I mean, Andrew Landry, I think, won at like 600-1 last year at the Amex. So, hey, shit happens, man. Anything can happen. I like Tringali as like maybe like a top like 20 play. I personally, that's where I would rather go towards there.
That's what I have. That's why I'm playing him in my lineups.
Yeah,
but I saw the 190-1. I'm like, fuck it.
Yeah, throw $5 on it. Why not? I mean, yeah, there's worse shit I've spent $5 on.
Exactly.
So no, like some of the top 20 plays, and you'll see this in the article I'll post tomorrow from the stadium. Give that a good follow and listen. I'll be posting it at my main account, which is in the description, at Mike Renzulli too as well, where I'll have all the best bets that I have laid out this week. But I like Andy Ogletree as a top 20 play too, as like a guy that's like 10-1, the top 20 in this event. I just think his talent's there. I think he has extremely positive upside. Why not? I mean, this is a guy that's an unknown commodity. He could be very good if he is half what they said he was coming out of college, as he was like dubbed as the same type of class as Morikawa, Hovland, and Wolf. Sign me up then. I mean, who knows how great this guy's going to be. So, but I like this field. It's going to be interesting. This is going to be an awesome tournament, and I'm really excited to see how this unfolds for sure.
Yeah. One top 10 bet I did make was Luke List at 14-1.
I like it.
I did do that. And I did do a couple matchups. Did you do any matchups betting this week?
So I haven't really looked into matchups, to be honest, yet. I mean, if I was looking into right now, which I am, give me Bubba at even money versus Sungjae Im. I like that a lot. That's my first matchup. I usually like to do 3. Let me see.
Yeah, I did 2.
Okay.
I did one to stay on brand. I'm big on Rory this week, so I took Rory at basically even money, but plus 102 versus Rahm. Just because let me watch some big boys on the feature groups and let me have some skin in it. And then going along with our Ricky love-hate situation, I took Ryan Palmer minus 108 against Ricky.
I like that.
So I went with that. Ryan Palmer is just so much safer. Then Ricky could easily come out here and play well and surprise everybody, but I'm going to go with the consistency of what Ryan Palmer's done the last year.
No, that's fair, and I like that play a lot. I mean, I'm going to go Bubba at even money over Sungjae. I'm going to go Rory Mcilroy. Actually, I found a plus 110 over him, over Rahm. I just like where Rory's at. There's some question marks at Rahm's health, and anytime you're that question, and like at this point, I think these guys are a pick 'em. I mean, I know Rahm's played extremely well at California Golf. He's warranted the respect at being 7.5-1 to win this week. But overall, I just think that Rory and him are on the same level. And I like where Rory's at. He doesn't have to worry about the injury. And like people arguing about the jet lag thing, he's done this a million times before. I'm not very worried about the jet lag or any of that. And then my last play that I'm looking at right now that I'm eyeing up a juicy line is give me Hideki over Hovland at minus 125. I just don't believe in Hovland at this course. Round of greens is really brutal for Hovland. He's even worse than Wolf. And the difference with him and Wolf is Wolf can make those 8 to 10 footers for par. Hovland cannot. Let's just put that out there.
Yeah. I hate Hovland this week.
He's made some strides in his putting and short game, but he's still far away from being consistently good. And he kind of reminds me of Xander because Xander at first couldn't chip to save his life when he got on tour, but he got progressively better each year. And that's what it feels like for Hovland. But he's still at that beginning phase where it's year like basically 2 for Hovland. Like he has to get better. And it's not going to come now at one of the tougher courses to get up and down at. So I like those 3 matchups overall. Great card this week. It's going to be a lot interesting. It's going to be a fun, probably thrilled Sunday because this tournament always produces a fantastic finish. It means went to a playoff multitude of times. And overall, we've always been having to wait to the last hole to see who's decided to win. So, and it's a great preview for the U.S. Open because the U.S. Open will be played here. Granted, it will be a completely different course and it will be extremely ramped up and a much harder event and track than what these guys are seeing now. But overall, it's a great venue, one of the mainstays on the tour, and I'm excited for it. Any last thoughts, Joe?
I am looking forward to making an impulse futures bet come Sunday afternoon. Seeing what kind of random player just does well and try to steal some long odds for the US Open. But yeah, like you said, I'm super excited. We've been waiting for this type of field since the Masters. I mean, we had a good group of guys at the Tourney of Champions, but it was so few. So it wasn't as exciting. This is going to be a lot of fun.
No, not only that, but the TOC is just a hit and giggle. This is a true test of golf where it's going to cut. It's a grueling test. I like this a lot. The best futures bet I have at the U.S. Open, and which I said I'll outline in my article, I have a Joaquin Niemann ticket at 90-1. I found. So
Okay.
I hope he keeps playing well like he started out this year.
Yeah.
It's down to I think 60 or 75. So I'm happy where I got that now because I think that's a hell of a number. And I wish he was playing this week because I would like to see how he would do at this track. But overall, I'm really excited this week. I think that's everything. Anything to add, Joe, or no?
No. That's it. We covered a lot.
Yeah, so that's the speed round. That's our best DraftKings plays from yours truly from the stadium, from Joe and I, and our best betting plays this week. We appreciate the audience. We love the support from the Center Cut. Thank you so much, guys, and you guys have a wonderful night. Happy hunting, and hope you guys win some money this week.
Let's go win some money.